Hey there comic book fans, I'm John Anderson and I just watched episode 12 of Gotham. It was pretty good. Definitely setting up a lot of stuff for the back half of the season. We're introduced to two major villains from the Batman mythos. So before I go any further, keep in mind I'm going to be going through key plot points from the episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, here is your spoiler warning. And there it goes. So the episode starts as most mid-season episodes start, with a recap of the first half of the season. And I was expecting that, and it was nice to get a refresher, a nice little 1-minute montage of every key element that happened in the beginning of the season. Following that, we have an interrogation scene with Jim Gordon, revisiting all those major steps that we just visited. And I was kind of like, this is kind of redundant. We totally could have started the episode with this interrogation scene instead of retrying the same beats. But I understand why they did that, because if this is your first time watching Gotham and you want to be caught up on what's going on, you're trying to get into it, I get it. It's a little nitpick for me because I'm already a fan of the show, but no harm, no foul. So we get a nice Easter egg, a little haha graffiti, clear reference to the Joker, and I don't think we're going to actually see the Joker in the series, because I'm a firm believer in the fact that Batman created the Joker, and it's because Batman put on the costume that Joker felt he wanted to put on a costume. And all these people that we've seen before, like Jerome, and the people that we saw in the episode where Jerome died, they're all people that influenced the Joker, not necessarily the actual Joker that we know from the comic. So the main villain of the back half of the season is clearly Victor Fries, or better known as Victor Freeze. And I love how they address that right away, because I always think it's really cheesy when you have somebody like Victor Von Doom and they're like, oh my god, he's a villain. And I'm like, well, his last name was Doom. It's kind of obvious. So it's nice to see that a guy who has ice powers doesn't have the last name Freeze. But we get a little introduction into his backstory, similar to what we've seen in the animated series. Victor's trying to cure his wife's disease that's killing her, and you really feel his plight, especially in that scene where she's bleeding from the mouth and he's struggling to get her medication. And it's like, wow, I see why this guy would turn to crime to help her. And in order to save her, he's gonna freeze her. The only issue is that if he freezes her, then he doesn't know how to reverse it and unfreeze her. And we get that shrine that we've seen in multiple incarnations that he's constantly trying to save her. And towards the end of the episode, they hint that he has a cure. And I really hope that's just a misdirect, because the whole point of Freeze and his motivation is to help save his wife. So if you take that away from him before Batman shows up, you have no Mr. Freeze. So I'm assuming he'll have more disappointments as the episodes go on. Secondly, we're introduced to Hugo Strange, played by B.D. Wong from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. And it's nice to see him getting some work, and he really plays the character very well. He's got this very sincere, helpful attitude, but really deep inside you can see he's actually got sinister and cruel intentions. He's clearly going to be a side plot for Penguin and a clear adversary, and as Penguin usually does, he's probably going to weasel his way out of this. So that's my thoughts on episode 12 of Gotham. If you guys like this video, be sure to share and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook at John Ryan Anderson, or on Instagram and Twitter at The Comic Look. And remember guys, as always, comics do deserve a second look.